Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this month's webinar. And this month's webinar is on our mindset shift, the mindset shift needed to step into the business world, specifically if you're coming from sports. But even if you're not coming from sports, even if you are an athlete who has already transitioned, if we can start to look at our mindset and how we show up on a daily basis, we can sit there and start to look at some of the shifts that might be needed to help us step into the business world with a little bit more brilliance of ourselves and bringing our full self to the table. So before I get started, I'm actually going to just turn off that for a second. I just want to talk about why me? Why am I here talking to athletes who are in transition? Why am I here talking about mindset? Well, to do that, I'm going to share a quick a piece of my story. I actually left school when I was 17 and joined the Royal Navy. I spent just about 6 years in the Royal Navy, and it was a great experience. I learned a lot about life. But I see athletes and the military, the forces, as something that's fairly similar. They have a lot of shared experiences. They are told where to go and where to be. They have their schedule set for them. They know what to eat, when to eat. They know game time, exercise time. They know everything is kind of put in a box for them. They show up and they do their best. They are their best in that environment. But when it comes to an end, what then? Because for me, when I came to the end of my forces career, I stepped out and was like, well, now what do I do? I've now got freedom to be able to do and run my own schedule. And it was kind of scary, to be honest. I fell into sales and started selling. My first sales job was selling photocopiers, walking door to door, knocking on doors, trying to sell people a photocopier. It was tough stuff, but ultimately it was an experience. But no one was there to help me understand what it meant to take some of the skills that I'd learned from the forces, some of who I was, look at my own experiences and bring them into the business world. So I was really just chasing what people had put in front of me. I was chasing commission. I was chasing the recognition of sales competitions. I was working really hard, but not really being fulfilled, not feeling that I was contributing to something. And so I bounced around in sales for years, doing well. I was successful. I earned money, but again, not really kind of contributing in any way. I moved to America in 2000. And much the same, just got into sales, selling a whole bunch of stuff, lost my way in so many ways. There was a journey into drug addiction within that story, but that's a story for another day. But at the same time, as I came over here, I got into coaching youth sports and working with kids in soccer. And the interesting thing around that is I've suddenly found a passion for helping young people become their best self, not just as a soccer player, not just skills and drills, but actually as a person, as a human being. What have you got? Where are you going? Who are you within your journey? And I found a real passion for that, which put me all in on the youth sports arena, which led me to start a non-profit called Pure Game. I see Brian Burkholder on here. He was actually a non-profit board member. So thank you very much for your help along the way. Love board members. The idea of Pure Game is we use sports to engage kids, but we're really teaching them life lessons. We're teaching them character education, social emotional learning, leadership. We're teaching them how to be really good and decent human beings and turn up as who they are. And that's what lit me up. Started that in 2009. And that grew to, we were serving 65 schools. We had 15 staff. It was such an awesome, amazing journey. Pure Game is still going and we're still doing wonderful things. COVID hit and that was a hard time for us because we're in-person school-based sports program. So suddenly we had none of that anymore. So we had to go online. We had to figure out where we were going with that. At the same time, I couldn't watch soccer. I couldn't coach soccer. I couldn't play soccer. So I had my own little mini breakdown at my dining room table, and it hit me to the core of, well, who am I without all of this stuff? And again, it came to this mindset stuff that no one had helped me address me at the core. So at the time, I did what any normal human being would do. I went out and invested in a mountain bike and took up mountain biking, which I did. But all joking aside, what I really got into was taking a deeper look at who I was at the time. And I found Donald Miller's Hero on a Mission, and I dove into that. And that really helped me uncover this thing inside of me, who I really was. And I had a passion to help people grow, develop, and understand who they were, and do the hard work to dig deep, to dig into their own life, so then they can unblock some of those blockages and turn up in this world in a better way. At the same time, Donald Miller was offering a business coaching program, so I dove into that. And I thought this would be it. I'll be a business coach for athletes. But it didn't work out as well as I thought it was, and I wasn't getting anywhere. And then I suddenly realized that what I was trying to do was take an athlete from sports and put them straight into business. And I realized that I was doing what I had experienced in my Navy days when I transitioned. No one had bridged the gap from sports to business. No one had actually got them to look at their mindset and how they were turning up in sports and how they needed to turn up in business. What skills they can take from sports to bring into business. What skills are needed to work on that they're lacking in sports. What do they need to develop, and how do they show up differently? So that's what we're going to talk about today. I love talking about this whole mindset idea. I love talking about the process that we can go through. And when we look at it, when you are facing change, when you're stepping into anything new, the newness creates fear and turmoil. The reason it does this, it's embedded in our brain, in our lizard brain back here. Our brain is scanning constantly our surroundings, looking for danger. And change is dangerous because we don't know what's there. When we were walking the Sierras, if there was a rustling bush, the brain didn't want to go and explore that rustle because it didn't know what was behind it. It could be a saber-toothed tiger. So it was backing off from that. Fear kept us alive. And it does exactly the same now as we're moving from sports to business, or anything within business, anything that's changed, anything that's new. It sends alarm bells in our mind, which then creates this fear and turmoil. And many of us don't know how to deal with that. And so we typically stuff it down and we hide from it, or we just push through and think that we can succeed. But the problem is that's not the answer of where we need to go. There needs to be some change that happens in how we face and handle fear. And we're going to get into that in a little while through this webinar. The thought of an athlete is that you're behind the curve, but you're so far ahead of the curve, which again, we'll just touch on in a minute. But this idea of fear comes from our brain's need for safety, belonging, and control. Safety is that thing that keeps us alive, right? Belonging is being part of something. And as an athlete, you were part of a team. Whether it was an individual sport or not, you still had a team around you. And so belonging is being a part of something. And when we don't belong, that means we could be, thrown out into the desert on our own. And when you're on your own in the desert, the chances are you're going to die. So it comes back into this safety thing. And then the control is the same thing. We want to be in control of our environment. Have you ever noticed that when you're walking down a pathway, you're typically narrating the environment that you're walking down. And that's because the outside world is out of control because it's out of us, but our inside world is in control. So if I'm talking mentally, subconsciously, if I'm narrating the outside world, then I'm bringing the outside world into me, which makes me feel under control. So when we look at this idea of fear, there is a way of handling it. Fear comes out of one of these three ideas subconsciously being out of whack, right? And so what I want to do is I want to be able to answer these three to allow my brain and body to understand I'm in fact safe and all of my needs are met. And we can do this by answering these simple questions, these three simple questions. In this moment, right now, am I safe? In this moment, am I a good and decent human being? In this moment, is everything within my control in control? And as you say yes to each one of those, we have a little celebration. And in celebrating, we let the body know that we're actually safe and all our needs are met. So straight off the bat, I'm actually giving you an assignment to say, for the next 7 days, set an alarm to go off 4 or 5 times a day and ask yourself those three questions. In this moment, am I safe? Yes. Come on. In this moment, am I a good and decent human being? Yes, I'm a good and decent human being. Yes, I am. Great stuff. Right. We want to go through the three questions. And at the end of it, celebrate and say, all of my needs are met. So we celebrate when we're in the affirmative. We fix what needs to be fixed if there is a no. In this moment, is everything within my control in my control? No, I can sense my mind sparking off and worrying about an event that I can't control or I have no control over. Okay, so we answer that and rewind that. What we want is 3 yeses in this moment. So that's your assignment this week. Set an alarm 4 or 5 times a day and go through those 3 questions. What I'll do is in the email that will follow up from this, I'll put this assignment in there. There'll be a little bit of a worksheet so you can actually have this and know what's going on and what we're doing. So back to the mindset stuff. I mentioned just a little while ago that as an athlete, you are so far ahead of the game, but you're just not aware of it. You have this amazing advantage as an athlete. You have transferable skills. In the business world, these skills are called soft skills. And as soft skills, what they're saying is they're not taught, and they're rarely are they taught. But as an athlete, you've lived these skills, the discipline, the teamwork, the resilience that you need to overcome particular losses or issues with injuries, whatever it may be. You are well on your way. You've got the grit. You understand communication. You understand leadership. These are some of the things that we teach our kids in Pure Game, some of this stuff. And this is why it's important that knowing sport can bring you such an advantage when you step in to the business world is key. This comes to a mindset. Can I be aware of myself? I would challenge you here to look at what's in your toolkit. What skills have you got? What skills have you developed through sport that will help you in the business arena? These are just a few, but I can tell you employers are looking employers are looking for these types of skills, which is why an athlete gets far more opportunities within the business world than a non-athlete, because employers know that they've got these skills. But what skills have you got is the question there. It's a webinar on the mindset, and mindset matters. Well, it's like, duh, well, of course mindset matters. But the mindset you have is what matters. The growth mindset by Carol Dweck. There's a book on it. It's in the business world. Everyone talks about growth mindset. And we're to develop this growth mindset. What they don't tell you is we all have a growth and a fixed mindset. And the difference between the two is simple. Fixed mindset, I can't do that, right? I'm no good with my left foot. I can't shoot a 3-pointer. Fixed mindset, I can't. A growth mindset would simply say, I can't throw a 3-pointer yet. It means that I'm going to grow into that skill. I can't hit the ball with my left foot yet. And what that means is I'm going to take responsibility for the development of that particular part of me. And like I said, we all have growth and fixed. I believe I'm one of the best growth mindset people out there. I believe I can give myself a go at anything. But where I'm fixed is my ability to sing and my ability to play musical instruments. Terrible. I can't do that. If I really wanted to, I could change that to a growth mindset, and I could sit there and say, I can't do that yet. It just means that I'm going to then put time and effort into learning the guitar, learning to sing. But this opens up this idea of embracing these challenges with the enthusiasm and adaptability. You're going to move from the sports arena where your schedule is set to a business arena where your schedule is open. Yeah, you're expected to turn up at 9 o'clock and go home at 5 o'clock. But what you do within that world is you've got a target, go hit it. You want to start up a business, you got a target, you got to go hit it, right? And so my challenge to you here is to understand the words you are using in these situations. I can't run an Excel spreadsheet. I can't turn up on time. Figure out where that fixed mindset is coming out, and can we change it to a growth mindset, right? It's the idea of when you faced a team who were a really challenging team, did you go into it with the idea of, oh, it's that team, we're going to lose again? Or did you go into it saying, we're going to go out there and make this happen? You can always improve, right? You can always work hard. You can always take ownership of what you're doing and how you show up. Mindset really does matter in the business world, but few people understand what matters about it. And it's the development of a growth mindset, which is just using the terminology, which means you can grow into any given situation. On that point, it's kind of like you're going to volunteer often for new work. Even though you might not be good at it, you're going to go, yeah, I can do that, right? Volunteer, put yourself out there. Which brings us into this idea of change, right? Change is inevitable. Change happens all of the time. Can we accept the change that's around us? Can we embrace it rather than fight it? And the issue with change in many organizations and many people within the organizations is we don't do it that way, and they fight against it and they push against it. And once we fight against something and push against something, we give it energy to fight back. But what we would want to do in these situations is accept it. Okay, there's change coming. How do I adapt to that to make the best of it? And this is where being an athlete, you have so many advantages in here. You've turned up a field and it's pouring down with rain when you expected bright sunshine. You're playing against an opponent and suddenly they've put 4 strikers up there and you're like, what are they doing? And they've changed the strategies. They're a high press. Your top player is out injured, and so now you've got to change with the flow and step up and step in. So change is not new to you, but how do you handle it? My challenge to you is to reflect on that and think about, how am I showing up? How do I handle change? Where do I fall short, and can I step into it a little bit more eagerly and with open arms? And then when we think about this transition, you're going to move from sports to business. I want the best for you. I want to see you win. I want to see you experience the same success in business as you did in sports. I want to see people enjoy business more than they did their sports. You've got so many good things happening, so many good assets right? This whole team spirit. You've worked with teams for so often. You can bring that passion and that level of collaboration to companies that doesn't exist, and you can change the culture because of how you show up with your energy. Remember, energy is contagious. And so if I turn up full of this idea of, yes, let's work together. Yes, let's go. Okay, we've got a problem. Let's keep it going. Let's push through. You can actually create that same energy. Um, and the best way to do this, rather than just relive all of your glory days, which athletes have a tendency to do, if they go without thinking about how to transition their winning strategies, what they do is they just relive them. It's just like they go to the movie theater of their own life, play their highlight reels, and sit in that world, and they just lose time within it. But if you can think about, okay, there was this one time when I played against a top elite team, and we changed the strategy, we did this, we helped each other, we built each other up, then suddenly you can use those little gems along the way to actually create a stronger career reset. And it will help you turn up in this way that makes you a valuable asset to the team, right? Can you be that key asset with the team where leadership is looking at you going, yeah, we need Joe on this because he's gonna crush it. We know that he's got that winning edge. As we look through, the next thing is I'm going to give you another exercise here. This is this cognitive reset. Cognitive reset. We know that stuff happens, right? We have got no control over the external world. So there is an external stimuli that happens. How we react to that has an impact on our outcome. And typically it's a subconscious reaction. So something will happen, the thought will be a loss in a game, right? A mistake in a game. Say you pass the ball back to your goalkeeper, you underpass it, and bam, they score an own goal. That's an external stimuli. There's nothing you can do with that. It's happened. Your thought is, oh, I'm crap. I'm a terrible defender. I can't do this. Now your emotion goes in the pan. Your next action is terrible. Your next touch on the ball will be awful. The outcome could look something the same. So that's a subconscious. We have the ability, because we've got this consciousness, we can be aware of what's going on around us, and so we can change this. So in this next slide, here is another assignment for you to take home. You'll see on the left hand side on this slide, the unconscious process is external stimuli. We have a thought, we have an emotion. It's emotion that drives action, and the action will be an outcome. When we get to the outcome, it's a simple question. Do I like the outcome? Is that an outcome that I would want? If the answer is no, we go to the right side of the column. And on the right side of the column, you'll see the external stimuli is still number one. That stays as the first contact because we can't do anything with that. But what we then do is go to our desired outcome, right? What is our desired outcome? If it's desired outcome on the subconscious could be I get subbed. I don't want to get subbed. I want to stay on the field. I want to prove that I've got what it takes. So my desired outcome, right, is I want to stay on the field. Well, if that's the desired outcome, what deliberate action is it going to take for me to stay on the field? The deliberate action is to play harder, faster, be more focused, right? Deliberate action. That's the action that I'm going to take. And then I've got to think of the emotion that's going to create that. Well, the emotion that will create this me playing at a higher level is confidence. Okay, if that's the emotion that I want to create, what thought will create that emotion? That thought will be, I've got this. I've been here before. I've done this. I've made errors on a soccer field. I can pick myself up and I can play at a different level. I'm good enough. Whatever those thoughts is, that's what we focus on. So the external stimuli remains the same, but now we're deliberately choosing a thought that I can now focus on for the next 5 to 10 minutes of my game. I've got this. I'm good enough. I know I'm good enough. I've got this. I'm good enough, right? That will create the emotion, which will create an action which will give us our desired outcome. So again, there'll be a worksheet in the email that follows up with this, which will give you this, this idea of conscious cognitive resetting. The reason I've included this here is because in the world of business, you're going to step from sports to business, and you are going to step into a whole world of uncertainty, and you're going to make mistakes. Are you going to go the unconscious route, or are you going to be conscious about your thoughts, emotions, actions, right? And so we need to get into the habit of creating this conscious process when things happen. All right, I'm aware of time. I was promised that I will be done within 30 minutes. And so we're coming up to the 25-minute mark. What's next? What's next for those people who are watching this? Nice and easy. I'm going to move that up there. Oh, no, I'm not going to move that up there. There you go. Technology at its best. I don't know how to move that. All right, I'll just leave that there. So what's next? You can schedule a call. Visit mpbcoaching.com, schedule a call. I'd love to jump on a call with you. You can email me with any questions you have about this webinar, about mindset shift. Then send me an email and I'll answer those on the next webinar. You can re-watch this webinar at my YouTube channel. I'll turn off my webinar. So next month we'll have another webinar for you to attend. Please register for that next webinar, and I'd happily answer any questions that you've got. If you've got a subject that you would particularly love to cover, email me and let me know, and I'll do my best to step up here and run that webinar for you, so you get the best out of your transition and your career reset. I'm here to help. I want to say thank you for attending today's webinar, and thank you for attending today's webinar. I just got a message there that says we lose your sound when you turn off your video. Okay, that's interesting. So I turned off my video. I said rewatch the webinar on my YouTube channel. Sorry, I lost the sound there. So you can rewatch it, youtube.com/NPB coaching. If you got any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Love to answer them. If you've got a particular topic that you would like to talk about on these webinars, send me an email and I'll do my best to create a webinar. Again, thank you very much for listening today. If you need anything, you know where I'm at. I will see you again soon. Thank you very much.